I was super nervous. All the hype and the energy around it, everyone's like, this is the biggest swell we've seen in like 10 years. I feel like they say that every time they're in the Eddie. And I'm like, is it? Holy crap. But I woke up that morning, we checked the buoy readings, and I saw buoy reading was like insane. Like actually, like I never saw a reading like that since I was checking buoys. That was at like 3:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. And I looked at that, I was like, I'm definitely not going back to sleep now. It's kind of nuts where we paddled out.
Check this out. This view is, and the steaks over here is unbelievable.
They're coming here for dinner one day.
Today we got Zeke Lau. Right on, Zeke. Thanks for coming. Local boy, pro surfer. I mean, he got all kinds of things that, and I've known him since he was like, what, like 10? When was the first time you walked?
Yeah, 10 or 12 years old.
Yeah, so he was 10 or 12 years old when I first met him. He was shorter than I am now. He's way bigger, and like he's accomplished so much. And like I just really wanted Zeke on here because I've known him since he was young. I know his dad. His dad was a University of Hawaii football player, right? So super good athlete too. And Zeke is a little bit unique in the way he came up from surfing. In the surfing industry, he played different sports. He went to regular school, and some of the other kids went homeschool. So that was the first question I wanted to ask you, was about what do you think the difference were? The kids at homeschooled and only got to surf, and then you're at school at Kamehameha in regular school. There's swells going on. They're surfing. You're not. What did you think? Like, what were you thinking in your head when you're that young?
Well, when I was sitting in the classroom, I knew there was waves and everything happening. I was pretty frustrated, and I was like, why can't I just go? You know, I know this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't need to sit in a classroom and do this. But I think the biggest difference I noticed, I mean, for me, it was like I was just more driven, more hungry. You know, when I was able to do it, I like really appreciated that time. And I just like, if it was a weekend and I was allowed to go surf, I'm in the water all the way till like I gotta be home time. And I did anything to get there. I would be like catching rides up to North Shore or like just figuring it out. And I think for me, kids just got jaded, just being like, oh, I have all day to surf. I don't need surf right now. Oh, it's not perfect. I don't need to go. Where for me, I was like, I don't care what it looks like. I'm going right now. This is the only time I got. So I think that was the biggest thing.
So what it sounds like to me is that you kind of learn how to manage your time even better, right? Because now you got the little bit of time, you got to make use of it. So every time you went out to surf, were you thinking of like, okay, I'm going to work on this, or I'm going to work on that, or you just surf?
When I was younger, not so much. It was more just like surf, just have fun, just like, I used to just watch surf videos all day in like the classroom. So then I'm like trying to do what I saw in the surf videos. But then as I got older and I actually started training and like started doing like professional events, like towards the end of high school, then yeah, I knew like, okay, I got to get reps in. So I go surf, make sure I'm there surfing certain spots and trying certain equipment. So like, I'm like gaining some type of knowledge or like growing in some way. So yeah, as I got older, I think that time was like, okay, I have this time to go surf this break, or this time to go try this board or something.
Yeah, so you figured it out.
Yeah.
So the other thing too is like, you didn't just surf.
Yeah.
You played other sports, right? And what do you think, like the other kids that only surf, like what do you think? Did it help you? Did it not help you? Did it?
I mean, I think it was both, you know, I was exposed to a lot of other things and a lot of other experiences where, you know, my parents were both like land sport people. My dad surfed for fun with his friends in college and stuff. So it was really like this natural thing for me where it was just really fun. That was my relationship with it. And then like everything else, the soccer, the basketball, baseball, all that other stuff seemed more competitive. So I felt like all the land sports really drove the competitive side of me. And then I kind of transferred it over into surfing later on and kind of had the passion of loving it to like the competitiveness all coming together. And I feel like that's what drove me to the next level. But I think having a more competitive mindset and bringing it to surfing was kind of the difference I had versus like kids that only surfed. Because a lot of kids that only surf, it's a lifestyle thing. You know, they just wake up every day and they go surf. And that's the cool thing about surfing. It's just something cool, fun to do every day.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, like, to me, when I look at that, you learn how to compete, right? Because you have to compete for a position, you have to compete to win, you have to compete. So now when you get into the surfing realm and you're against a guy who hasn't competed like that, you notice a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I felt like, you know, when I was playing land sports and other sports, I wasn't the best at all those. So I was always like really fighting to like, you know, make the team, or like fighting for playing time. Like a lot of times I'm coming off the bench and like dealing with those types of emotions, like at a young age, like really kind of really structures or forms the way I think. But then, you know, when I come into surfing where I'm super confident and I really love it and I feel like I'm one of the better people, I was able to kind of use all those experiences of like feeling inadequate or a little bit insecure and not being really good, to when I come into something I'm really confident in, I really know how to use all those experiences to benefit me. And then if I see someone that maybe might not be as confident, I'm competing against them, I know exactly what they're going through. So I kind of use that to my advantage as well. So like all those things, and I think I was able to find a different focus at a young age, I feel like.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I totally agree, because there's so many parents, like, they're baseball and only baseball, or basketball or only soccer. And I'm like going, you guys don't understand, you know? And then there's a lot of injuries that occur because of one sport overdeveloping a certain muscle. But I'll change the subject. Well, actually, I want to talk a little bit more. It's a controversial one. It was you and John,
Yeah.
right? And then some guys are like, oh, Zeke bullied him into the win. And I'm like, how is that bullying? This is like, this is professional. This is like world class. So tell me a little about that. Like, what was going through your head? And was that one of the instances you were talking about?
That's a very key instance where I feel like those two things clashed, to where like John's more like just surf and like it was his lifestyle and he was just naturally an incredible talent, you know, and was always that guy. From when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, John was like John Florence. From that age, you know, he was just always gonna be this world champion surfer. Where like I'm just a younger kid, kind of like, you know, trying to get up to his status a lot of times, kind of chasing him. And then we make it to a professional level and we meet. Then like all those things are also in my head, to where like, I know he's John or whatever, but I'm not gonna just, this is my job. This is my profession too. I'm not gonna, if there's a way for me to win, I need to figure that out and use all the tools in my bag to be able to do that. And I mean, understanding like the situation, I knew this is where my competitive background comes in, where like, you know, I know my opponent, I know things that I can do differently that will, you know, hopefully give me a better chance at winning. And I know a lot of times like John's not the type of surfer, the type of competitor that likes like a upfront battle. To where someone's in your face, kind of in your space, like kind of getting in your way, kind of throwing you off. So I kind of got up in his space. And it wasn't initially all me. It's a funny thing, like I actually paddled out early in the morning and I knew the biggest thing for me was to get a good start. Bell's Beach is a wave where like there's not a lot of waves. Waves come in sets, and there's a lot of times there's like 5, 8 minute lulls in between the sets. So if you think about a 30-minute heat, there's probably 3 or 4 chances you're gonna get for both of us. So I was like, if I start first, it's really gonna set me up good. And then based on my positioning, I think he felt like, oh yeah, this is not a good place for me to be. And then the battle was on. So he was trying to get behind me. I wasn't gonna let it happen. And I knew I need to fight to the death to get this first wave, or else if he gets the first wave, I'm pretty much like, I'm gonna really be fighting an uphill battle. So that whole thing was pretty funny, but I feel like that's exactly what that was. Like me using my competitive upbringing and how I was raised in like land sports into surfing. But it definitely had like a really negative, like a negative outlook on within the surf community, just because I feel like surfing is like this gentleman sport and everyone gives each other the space and like, oh, you go, then I go. But like, to me, that's just not how I was brought up and how to look at competition. You know?
No, I 100% agree, because I remember when I heard that, I was like, what? I knew Zeke when he was a kid. Bro, he's super cool. And then they're like, yeah, but he bullied. I said, dude, this is world class. I mean, whatever you can do. Did he hit him? Did he slap him? No. Then I said, it was just it was confrontation.
Yeah.
And one person, and I feel like that takes you back to jiu-jitsu a little bit. It's like one of the first things that you did when you're that young is jiu-jitsu. And one thing jiu-jitsu does is you're
in somebody's space,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that helps in that kind of stuff also, right? Jiu-jitsu.
For sure. And I think that's why my dad wanted me to put me in stuff like that early on.
Yeah.
To just get used to dealing with confrontation, dealing with something up and not being afraid, not feeling like you have to shy away from it. And it builds that self-confidence. That's what the biggest thing my dad wanted for me at that age. And that's why he got me training at your gym and we were doing Grappling Unlimited, was just like to build confidence and not be afraid of dealing with people, whether it's just like relationship stuff or actually physically, like having the confidence to just deal with it, you know, up and up. So
yeah, because he was a football player, right?
yeah, and he's a football player. I mean, all my whole family like play football, basketball. Everyone, like, we used to have barbecues on Sundays and there's a basketball rim, like we going at it like all night playing 3-on-3 basketball. That's just like the nature of what I was, you know, that was my environment. So when I came into the surfing thing, it was really, I had a different energy and I kind of felt it, but like, you know, that's kind of just who I was and how I did everything. And I feel like it's good. Surfing needs stuff like that. I mean, not everyone's going to be the same. Not everyone's going to interpret it the way, you know, they feel like it's the right way. But I feel like the sport has changed, the whole dynamic too. Like with all the Brazilians coming in and doing it too. Like, I love it because I feel like they bring this whole athletic, like, like approach to the game of surfing, which I really enjoy watching.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because surfing is a physical game, but now that's the mental part of the game.
Yeah.
And I feel that's key because every sport, the mental part sometimes is even more because at some point, the skill becomes about the same.
Yeah.
Right? Then the mental part almost becomes the same. Then it goes, who's more physical?
Yeah.
Right? Who's stronger? Who's more endurance? Who's got more stamina? Right? So I think all of that all kind of puts together. But yeah, so that reality show, right? So you're on this reality show. We did miss one. We're like, Zeke, right? We got one. Let's go, Zeke.
Yeah, the Ultimate Surfer was super funny. Honestly, like after it was all done, I honestly loved the experience. It was like a super crazy environment that they put us in. And that's what I loved the most about it. Like I was there living on the thing for like 1 month. We did a week of COVID, like it was during COVID. So we did a week quarantine. And then after we're living in this, at the surf ranch for 1 month, but no computer, no phone, no music, like no stimulation at all. The only thing you have is you wake up and you're doing this show every day, all day for like a month straight. It was pretty nuts. And I remember just like, I was in a weird place in my career as well. Like I had just fallen off tour and then COVID hit. So I couldn't really do the QS to get back on. But then I was doing the show because one of the things was like, if you win the show, you get like 3 wild cards onto the tour. So I was like, okay, this could be another chance to like fast track my way back. And there was nothing going on at the time. So it seemed like a cool opportunity, but yeah, it allowed me this like weird space to like just really sit and reflect and think a lot. And I was alone, no talking to family, like zero. Like it was only like what was in front of me. And I kind of got into like this really cool headspace where I like found this different type of focus that I never felt before. And I felt like being in that environment just like forced that to where like I wanted to journal. Like I was so bored. Like I got to write down my thoughts. I got to like what's going on in my head and like kind of planning out my year and like using my spare time to grow, I guess. And that pretty much taught me that. And then I think it just transferred into the show and I felt like I did really good and I was in a good headspace and I was competing in that environment really well. It's like a funny way of competing, but it was still competition in some form and surfing and stuff. But I probably won't do another reality show, but it was a cool experience. I honestly like, I appreciated it.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it was fun watching. Yeah. That was totally fun. It was a good reality show.
Yeah, I'm glad.
And then I was super happy because then you had like, 3 wild cards into the back into the World Surf League, right? So what was one of your things, like what was one of your biggest setbacks that you think like in your whole career for surfing? What was your biggest setback and like how did you overcome that?
My biggest setback.
Or the thing that hurt the most? Like, what hurt you the most? Not just physically, like mentally, like.
Yeah, no, there's a few.
Okay, let's
There's
go.
a few. The John situation was honestly
Oh, really?
really hard.
Oh.
It didn't like just end after that heat. It like John never talked to me for a while.
Oh.
Like it was really weird because we were friends before too.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other stuff was happening behind the scenes like before. So things got a little weird and it felt like this weird friction rivalry thing. And I felt like at that point, like a lot of people were against me.
Yeah.
To where it's like a really weird thing to feel. And I think maybe I just didn't know how to deal with it. And then I just became real insecure, worrying about what other people thought all the time. And then like I'm in a very subjective sport. So then thinking like, oh, they just don't like me anymore. Like, how am I gonna like push through this? And like my couple years on tour after that were a really struggle, like mentally.
Yeah.
Like just not feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here, or people don't like me here. Like just not feeling like I'm in the right place. And that's really hard to compete at your best when you're thinking about all those other things, like really distracted. Like, you know, I'm either like feel like I'm putting too much effort or trying too hard, or then like not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
And then like doing things based on like what other people think is just like a weird situation to be in, instead of like really focused on what I'm doing and how I'm growing and on my personal journey. I have all these other distractions. So that was like a really hard thing. And then it was 2019, fast forward like a year after that heat happened, and then we met back again at Pipeline and he just obliterated me. I had the worst heat ever. I was on my way back to like requalifying for the tour. I was really low on the rankings, and then basically he was the guy that just put the nail in the hammer, like, you're out of there. So then that one like hit hard. I was like, ooh, like that felt like, oh, I came full circle. Like maybe what I did wasn't right. Like now, like, oh, the way I'm doing stuff, like everybody else was right. You know what I mean? I felt like karma wise, it like came back and got me for some reason. But I think mentally, I was feeling like that before I even entered the water. And then it allowed it to happen a little bit, like to the point where like I didn't even make a wave in the heat, and it was firing Pipeline. Like that shouldn't happen. Like I should at least like be putting up some numbers, but I think I literally scored like I think my total score is like 5 points and he had like 18.
Wow.
It was crazy. But then after that, I fell off tour, and through that winter, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna train hard and just like muscle through it. You know, I'm gonna get back on next year. And then I hurt my knee. I was like, oh, now I'm going onto the QS and have to qualify with a hurt knee. And then COVID hit. So then that might have been a blessing, because then it pulled me back. And then I just thought about everything and just kind of gave me that space to kind of reflect and see where I'm at and just kind of stop. I feel like when you're in that mindset and you're kind of like frazzled, when it just keeps going, it's really hard to figure it out, because you're like, oh, I just got to push through, just get to the next one. But when you have that time to reflect and think, I think you can actually like figure out what's going on in your head mentally and stuff. So I think COVID was a really good time for me to do that. And then I was able to like come back and build.
Oh, nice. And how much did you talk to your dad about this kind of stuff? Or did you mention it? Or was it your girlfriend at the time, or your wife at the time, or your mom? Or did you talk to anyone in your family about this stuff?
I think it was my girlfriend at the time, but my wife, yeah. I talked to her a lot about it, and she really helped me work through all of it. I feel like my dad was like, I don't know, it kind of was, I'm already moved out of the house, you know what I mean? Like when we go and hang out, it's more so just like family stuff, like kind of not talking about it in that environment as much. But my wife's there, you know, I mean, she's there at the heat, she's there with me before, she's there after, she's watching me train. Yeah. You know, so I feel like she has a better understanding of where my head's at constantly. So just always talking to her about it, and she helped me out a lot. Just like, just dealing with those emotions and kind of figuring out where my head's at, and like allowing myself to pull back. Yeah. Because I feel like that was the hardest part, just allowing myself to just stop. Yeah. And just think, you know, you don't want to sit there and just think. I'd rather keep busy and move and just like, hopefully all that goes away. But yeah, the hardest part was just to sit in all those thoughts and those feelings and feel like that's where the growth happens.
That's yeah.
When you can sit there and actually reflect, like, maybe I was wrong. Oh, well, how can I do that better? Or like really simplify everything, and you know, it kind of kills the ego a little bit
Yeah.
to kind of look and go, maybe there's a lot of things I could have did differently that would have, you know, created a better outcome.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So now you mentioned your girlfriend at the time, who's your wife.
Yeah.
So I like when I coach athletes, I always tell them, stay away from girls. You want to be a professional, you want to be the world's best, you got to stay away from girls. But there's the girls like your wife, right, that helps you through, right? Because they don't hold you back. And I mean, what do you think of that? Like, as far as...
Yeah, I mean, my dad was the same way. Like, hey, you gotta focus, no girls, you know, the whole thing. But I think it's really advantageous if you're open to creating a relationship like that and looking for someone and a partner for not only for them to be there for you, but for you to be there for them as well. And you guys embark on a lifelong journey of like supporting each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like as long as you're looking for that, then like, yeah, obviously it's going to grow into something great. It's the relationship like that is like anything else in life. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes, you know, that dedication and that time. But I feel like it's really important, especially for anyone being successful and like, whether it's sports or business or anything you're doing, on a personal level, you have to be okay. You have to be good. You know, you have to be feeling good. You have to be in a good mind space, and like your everyday life, you have to be loving your everyday life. It's really hard to be successful if you wake up and you're upset or depressed every day. So I think it's more so looking at that and being like, hey, for my personal journey, like I would love to have a partner there to share these experiences and these moments and these hard times and the good times with. And that's what that's kind of been for me.
Yeah.
It's definitely harder when you're younger because you're not really understanding that dynamic a little bit. But I feel like, having a wife or a girlfriend or a partner it can drive you and help you focus even more.
Yeah, totally. I feel like too many times, like when you're young, you're looking for something else in the relationship, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that'll take a guy. I mean, I've seen so many athletes like should have been pro, should have been world class, wrong girl, done, right? And I feel like watching you, I was watching what you're doing, and I'm like, I don't really see you hanging out with that many girls. I mean, see you with a girl, but not like all clingy. Until I saw you a couple of times with her, and I was like, oh, nice. This could be the one, right?
Because and that was, you know, it was cool because like we met surfing, so she understands my passion. She understands my, you know, how much I love surfing, and I feel like that's super important. Like, you know, a lot of these guys, they want like, I want the supermodel girl from freaking Brazil or Portugal that has no idea what your life is like. They have no, like, nothing to relate about. And then they're like, all they know is like, you know, when you get with a person like that, like, it's just the time you guys spend together. So if you're going off and doing your job, that time together is less. And then all of a sudden it's just like, well, why are you not spending time with me? So it's like, I feel like when they understand, like, I feel like it just worked out easier for us because we grew up in the same place. We kind of both love surfing and we love the lifestyle. So she just really understood and supported me in that journey.
Because I remember seeing you come out to bowls when I was surfing, and she'd come out too.
Yeah, right? She comes.
And I was like, that's cool. That's so cool, man. Right?
So we're doing everything together.
Yeah, right. I think that's huge. That's super big. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is like, what do you think, like your upbringing, like your dad? I mean, I know your dad really good, and I think his mindset's kind of like my mindset. And you know, what do you think of like how he brought you up? Are you gonna do the same with your daughter, or?
Yeah. My dad was really good at, you know, instilling a lot of values early on with discipline and hard work and focus and, you know, really focusing on things that you want and being able to like really push yourself. And for me, he really did a good job at pushing me outside of my comfort zone constantly. Like always pushing me. It did not feel good for me. I hated it a lot of the times, but he really pushed me outside my comfort zone a lot, which I feel like now transferring over into like my adult life, it's allowed me to learn and do so many other things that maybe I didn't even think I could do. So like I'm more open to like being uncomfortable and realizing like, oh, I could probably learn something. So it's okay to be in this uncomfortable place. So I'll definitely instill a lot of that in my daughter.
Yeah.
But my dad was he was pretty hard on me. So I might pull the reins back a little bit just because she's my daughter and stuff. But it might be different with boys. But
Yeah.
I feel like boys need a little bit more hard discipline. It's a little harder for me with my daughter. But yeah, I think for me, I just want my daughter to experience a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really hard to do that if you only want to stay in these comfortable places.
Yeah.
So for me, just finding fun ways to push her outside the comfort zone and just exposing her to a lot of things like how my dad did with like a lot of different sports.
Yep.
And just being okay. Like you don't have to be the best at everything. Just like it's all the experiences and the things that you go through on like it's just the journey. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you're gonna learn so much things being exposed to, you know, all of it. So
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I had to mellow out plenty from how I was raised to raise my kids, right? But I mean, that's good to hear because I sometimes think like some of us that got raised that way, God gave us daughters first.
yeah.
Because if they gave us a son,
Would have been
might
too-
have been a little more intense, you know. So,
Yeah.
so next thing I wanted to know is like, okay, so some people, oh, I wish I could, I would love to, I would die to surf in the Eddie Cow big wave.
Mhm.
Like, did you feel that at what age? And when you finally get there, was it as yeah, as you thought?
It's so weird. Like I know, like growing up, the Eddie was like, oh, it's such a big,
Yeah.
prestigious event, and I always thought like that would be cool if I was in the Eddie, but like to actually be in the Eddie, I never was like, I need to make it happen. I always just thought it would be cool, and then it got to like, not till probably like early 20s that I actually was like, okay, I want to try big waves.
Oh.
But before that, I had no interest. Like when I was younger, it was like a couple of times I went on some trips and guys are like, oh, we're going to do some towing stuff like on like some 12, 15 foot waves. You want to come? I was like, nope, don't sign me up for that. I'd rather just go surf fun waves. But I think I realized through surfing a lot, the cool thing about big wave surfing is how much more you have to read the ocean. And it exposes you to a different speed of ocean. Like I said, like exposing you
Yep.
to more and learning more. So I went to Jaws. Actually, Jaws was the first place I surfed big waves. Somehow, I don't know why. No guidance. Like this is me just following my friends, you know. So I was like, oh, everyone was at that time was surfing Jaws. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And I don't care if I don't even have to catch a wave. I'll just like go see it, you know, paddle out and do the whole deal. And it was the most intense 48 hours of my life. Like it was so crazy. I didn't catch a wave. I left like super bummed out. Like I don't even want to do that again. I don't think. But then I realized like, oh, I'm not prepared. I'm borrowing a board. I don't have the right equipment. I don't feel safe. I don't feel like all these things. Like, okay, let's try prepare. So then following year, I ordered a surfboard and I got some guidance on what I needed. I ordered the right equipment with the inflation vest, and then I started doing some underwater like breath work training. And I went back and had a great time. Caught a bunch of waves. It was still crazy and stuff, but then it taught me like, okay, preparation, this is possible. You can grow and like it can actually happen. So then through that, I was like, okay, I want to try and figure out how to get into the Eddie.
Yeah.
So I was like 21 years old at that point, and then so I talked to one of my guys, one of my good friends, Reef McIntosh. I was like, how do you get into that? And he's like, yeah, you just have to, every time my mail breaks, you got to be out there and they have to see you and you have to try and like be on some good waves and they got to see that you're dedicated to it. And then, you know, they'll ask a bunch of surfers on the list. And then if they say like, yeah, you like, if they ask me and I say, yeah, he wants to be in, then they'll kind of put you on a list and be like, okay, hopefully on the alternate list or whatever, and work your way in.
Oh, nice.
But then, yeah, when you're actually in it, I remember getting invited. I was like, oh, crap. Like, is this really what I wanted? Because, like, I know I said and I was pushing towards it, but this is going to be pretty crazy. But I was definitely excited.
Oh,
I was super excited and stoked to be a part of it. And,
nice.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, right on. So what do we have?
You have the New York strip steak and the fried calamars. Both are very popular. Our age beef is he aged it for about 29 days. So it's gonna be very juicy and tender.
All right, Empire Steakhouse. You can try it out, Zeke.
It's good.
Go for it. Go for it.
Just for
Go.
me? Shoot.
Yeah, go for it.
Calamari.
Yeah.
God,
This
is too
go
much
for
for
it, man. Oh, that's funny because I've never, never ever, I don't want to surf for Eddie. Like, oh, what do you? Nope, nope. I go to the mainland. Oh, you surf? Yeah. Surf Eddie? No.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All the big wave stuff, my parents freak out, actually.
Yeah.
They would rather me not do it. But I blame my dad. I was like, hey, remember that one time I told you I never paddle out to sunset and you made me and I was crying? Now, you're doing opposite now.
Yeah.
You started this. But it's funny. I don't even tell them when there's big swells.
Yeah.
I just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I don't know if it was last year's one or the year before the Eddie. Your dad was there. He was so nervous.
Yeah, my dad was there the first year.
I didn't even want to go say hi, man.
Yeah.
I just let him watch you. And
I could tell he was super nervous, but I was like, plus too, they don't see big waves like that a lot, because a lot of times when I go, when I was younger, they're not really there
Yeah.
because they're working or whatever. So he saw waves like that. He's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I was like, don't worry about it. Like, I've surfed out here when it's like this before.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's like, you sure? Oh, I don't know. But you see my wife in all the videos, she was pregnant and she was like, yeah, whatever. She's not even scared.
Yeah, right.
She knows. But I was honestly scared that night before. I was super nervous. Just because all the hype and the energy around it, everyone's like, this is the biggest swell we've seen in 10 years. I feel like they say that every time they're in the Eddie. And I'm like, is it? Holy crap. But I woke up that morning, we checked the buoy readings. And I saw buoy reading was insane. Actually, I never saw a reading like that since I was checking buoys.
Oh, really?
I think it was 20 feet at 25 seconds or 26 seconds or something, which is ridiculous. I was like, oh my God. And I woke up, that was at 3:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. And I looked at that, I was like, I'm definitely not going back to sleep now. I'm rolling around bed, and then it just got to a point where I was just like, this is what I wanted. I asked for this, we train, we're solid. You just gotta go. So my whole thing was the more scared I am and trying to look at it and trying to figure it out and thinking about it, the worse it's gonna be. Just rely on all the training and everything I did and just be confident in that. And I said, when I go out and the horn blows, the first wave I see, just turn around and just go. Just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Because once you catch one wave and you go around, then all of a sudden the nerves settle and you're like, oh, okay, I'm surfing again.
Oh, that's cool. That's so interesting for me to hear, because I always tell people, for one, fear is usually because you're not educated about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I was free diving and what about sharks? I'm like the mouth's underneath. What are you worried about? And before I was scared of sharks, but then when I understood that and I saw how, when the sharks come, you just kind of keep the head on top of, and you just move with them.
Yeah.
I started to be like, it's not that scary, but it's about education, right? Just like what you're saying. And then, of course, like you're saying, once you catch that first wave, the nerves kind of die. So every time before I fight, I'm super nervous. Soon as I step in the ring, everything's good.
Yeah.
Or the first time I get hit, it's good already, because that's it. Yeah. But same thing, I always tell the people I train, if you train hard enough like you did, you just believe in that training. Because that training is what's going to pull you through. And if you didn't train like you're supposed to, you should be scared.
Yeah. And then it's too late.
Anyway, it's too late.
It's just don't even worry about it. Just figure it out,
Yep. I always tell them you got to have that switch at some points.
Yeah.
You just got to have that switch, bam, I don't care.
Yeah, turn it on. Yeah.
Right.
So that was one of those moments.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting pounded on my first wave. I just stood up and I was just I didn't think I understood the lineup as much right there, because I never been out actually when it was that big. And I usually sit when there's a crowd, I sit inside everybody.
Oh.
Just so I have more space and time to read the situation. So I kind of did that and I realized, I'm super far in. And the wave pretty much caught me. I basically was looking at the wave and I realized I'm too late to pull back. I should just go. But then I fell and I handled it and I got back up. I was like, well, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
So like go back and just had fun with it after. So
Oh, right on. That's
That's
good,
cool.
man. That's funny because like what I want to get like through this podcast and the guys, and the reason I would really wanted you to is because like the Eddie for one, overcoming that, being that I knew you from when you were young, and then just kind of watching your career and like playing soccer and playing all the different sports. Like I have all these philosophies and all of those things, and
yeah,
you kind of like was doing kind of the same thing.
yeah,
And then, like for me, like business and different sports I played, all the same things worked.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you freaking good at everything you do, but that's not true.
mhm,
It's just the things that I picked, is one of those things. And learning how to be out of your comfort zone, like what your dad taught you, I
mhm,
think that's huge because that's one of the things where I feel like I understand a lot.
mhm,
And I know when I don't want to be out of my comfort zone too, but
mhm.
I will go out of my comfort zone a lot of times, which kind of takes us to like foil boarding.
yeah,
And that's one of the things, like, I mean, I posted something not too long ago. It's like, that's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my whole life. Stand up paddle 40 on but I'm so frustrated
Me
with it,
too, though.
right?
Yeah,
And then but the thing, like, I think for surfing, I feel like the good surfers, they're not gonna do this.
yeah,
And I feel like, and I know some guys, nah, that's not true, but that's their ego talking.
yeah,
They don't like to look shitty at like something like surfing.
for sure. Yeah,
What do you think? That same thing?
for sure, for sure. And I think, especially the good surfers and the surfers that just surf their whole life and they're really good. It's a very, very comfortable place.
Yeah.
Especially like guys like they have their spot, their specific spot they like to surf, and they like there's a parking stall for them and there's a shower and like you know what I mean? They know they're gonna go out there and they're gonna get X amount of waves in this
Yeah.
hour. And they're gonna come in and everything is is very controlled.
Yeah.
Where like the foiling is crazy because I mean the foiling that we're doing with the stand up and the downwinding, you're putting yourself at a full the mercy of the ocean. Everything's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're gonna start out and not be like, you're not gonna just be bad at it. You're gonna be like really, really bad. Like to the point where like I was like, wow, I have to reteach. This is like just learning how to surf all over again.
Yeah.
Like starting from like below zero.
Yeah.
And that feeling is shocking.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And just like my whole thing with learning was like, I want to get to the point of being able to do it.
Yeah.
But like that journey to there is so intimidating because I know it's just going to be a lot of days where it's just not going to be fun at all.
Yeah.
And right now with like having my daughter and like having other stuff going on, if I have that 3-4 hour period, I was like, do I want to go torture myself and do this right now? But like, I could just go home and relax and put my feet up on the couch and watch TV. But instead I'm choosing to do this because it's crazy, because if I don't do it, I'll be comfortable, but I'll be mad at myself.
Yeah.
But then when I do it, I'll be uncomfortable and mad at myself out there. But when I come in, I'm like the happiest person. It's like the hardest thing to figure out.
Yeah.
So like I'm battling that with myself all the time, but I just feel like it's just that uncomfortable. You're just living life. You get in that 4-hour span where I'm struggling, I'm going through this whole journey. I'm living like a whole lifetime out there and coming in and going, I learned so much about myself today. I'm so happy to be on land. I just love everybody. And then I'm in a really good mood. It's like the best thing, but that's why I love it, honestly.
Yep.
It's just for that.
Yeah, it's funny. This morning when I went out, one of the guys was like, man, I really want to get one of those earpieces so we can talk to each other. So in case we get lost and stuff. Only thing is like, I'm worried like all the guys we put on is going to be F-bombing all over the place,
You
right?
can hear that.
And I started laughing and he goes, yeah, a couple times I like, yeah, I hear somebody over there. F, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, it's Egan. I was like, oh, frick. I make it a point that I'm underwater when I freaking scream.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love the foiling is awesome. And I feel like not a lot of people are going to do it just because of that. Because the learning curve is incredible. If you're not the type of person that craves that like uncomfortable place to like learn, it's gonna be really difficult
Yeah.
for you. If you don't like the discomfort, this is probably you're gonna struggle with this.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, for me when I started, there's so many things that were uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
Like having the paddle. I'm
Yeah,
so against the
yeah,
paddle.
yeah.
Like I'm a surfer and stand-up paddlers are just like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Like my uncle them stand-up paddle, I love them, whatever. But like for me, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then, so that was a thing I had to just get over in my head. And then another thing is just like being out in the open ocean.
Yeah.
Like I'm so uncomfortable. I'm in the ocean every day, but I'm like not far off
Yeah,
the
sure.
beach, you know? And I'm just in the middle of the ocean. I'm like, hey, you guys can stay with me, whatever. Boom, everybody's up and they're gone. And I'm like, now I'm alone for the next 3 hours by myself. I just have to get to that end.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I'm just like, it's one of those things like I was on the reality show.
Yeah.
Like just taking away everything
Yep.
and just being in a place where you have to just, it's weird because that uncomfortable place is that place in your head where you have to process these inner thoughts
Yeah.
and all these inner feelings that you have and controlling your emotions.
Yeah.
And you realize like I look at it as like, wow, I'm such a weak human inside because all these thoughts are coming in. Nothing's happening. There's nothing. I'm safe. But all these thoughts are coming in like, I'm going to like, oh, there's going to be a shark or I'm going to die or I'm not going to make it. Like
Yeah.
every doubt that you can think of is popping in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I literally would have to sit there and wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes till all of that goes away. And
Yeah.
I realize, okay, now I got to do it. You know what I mean? Like you're in the same place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing else is changing
Yeah.
except what's the process in your head, you
Yeah.
know? So it's my favorite.
I think
thing
that's
about
why I
foiling.
love foiling so
Yeah.
much. You know, it's like everyone's like, why you do it? It's just so hard. And you're like, you're old already, you know. I'm gonna turn 60 next month. And I'm like, you're kind of old for this. All the other guys are young. And I'm like, man, something about it just reminds me of what it took to be the best in the world at different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I might not be the best in the world at this, but it's not about being the best in the world. It's about conquering yourself.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's super key.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like, and that's the other reason I really wanted you on here too, is because you're foil boarding, but you're like one of the best surfers in the world. I feel like the way you challenge yourself and you foil boarding like that,
Yeah.
you're putting yourself where, you know, you have to be junk for a while. So people are like, oh, Zeke, he's a good surfer, but right?
Yeah.
But now they're like going, oh, frick, man, like I can, like I'm like, for me, I'm like going, how the frick did that guy get good so fast? Like, what the heck? I've been doing this longer than him.
Yeah, I actually, I went out and did it with my friend one day and I was so bad. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, honestly. So I actually,
You made that YouTube.
I started my YouTube.
Right?
I was like, I'm gonna document the whole process
Yeah.
of like actually what it took for me
Yeah.
to like get good at it. So it's been a really fun project for me to just go and like kind of pass this same message along.
Yeah.
To be like, people aren't world champ. They don't wake up world champions.
Yeah, exactly.
They like the process is crazy. It's just you don't see it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like the more people understand that, then the more they'll be open to like doing so many different things. And I think with my daughter, it's changed my perspective a lot to want to share that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest and best thing about being an athlete is being able to like experience a journey like
Yeah.
that and push yourself and
Totally.
learning so much on that level. But yeah, the foiling is just a really intense version of it. It's pretty crazy. But then I also love it because the community of guys,
Yeah,
everyone's been through it,
cool.
you know, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a really cool community
Yeah,
of guys.
it
It's
is.
really fun. And everyone just like understands the journey and it's so funny because everyone, you know, you don't talk to a foiler. Like surfing is a weird thing where they're like, nah, we don't want more surfers. Like just
Yeah.
stop. Don't come to our spot. Like
Yeah, yeah,
stay over there.
Yeah.
This is our zone.
yeah,
Where you don't talk to a foiler that is like that.
yeah.
A foiler's like, dude, you should
Let's
come
go.
with us.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah, yeah,
Come struggle with
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's the funniest thing ever, but it's a group of guys that are just so fun to be around and just like so positive. The
Yeah,
energy is
yeah,
so positive.
yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
The first time I did the kite goes, hey, Egs, you ready? You see kids? I was like, all right, let's go, right? So I go and like, pop, pop, pop. Everyone's gone. I'm by myself going, frick, I can't even get it.
You're like, wait, I thought we were going together, but you just left me here.
Exactly.
But it's the funniest thing because that's exactly how it is every
Yeah.
time.
And the funny thing is, when you put on that YouTube thing, one of my friends said to me, "Hey, look, bro, you're better than Zeke in downwinding." I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." And then the next one, I was like, "Oh, now he's better than me."
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I was just dedicating a lot of time. I was like, I gotta touch the board and the paddle every day. Like that was another thing. I was like,
Yep.
am I really this bad? This is crazy. I surf every day.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable almost. Like, and it was almost like so bad to where I was like, I shouldn't even do this. Like, this is stupid. And then I lay in bed and think at night, like, wow, am I really? Is there gonna be something in the ocean where guys ask like, oh, do you do that? And just say like, oh, I couldn't do that. I was like, no, you can't let that happen. Like, you gotta figure it out. So, and then I look at these guys, like the guys we go at, like all Simeon and all these guys, like this guy Kale, he's like a emergency room nurse.
Yeah.
Brother's pulling all-nighters.
Oh yeah.
And then he goes and falls.
Yep.
I'm like, I got a full night's rest and I don't want to go do that.
Yeah.
This guy is crazy, but that like inspired me a lot.
Yeah.
Like those guys, like, you know, they work hard and they have these, you know, 9 to 5 long hour jobs, and then like they have their window
Yep.
and they chose to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that speaks a lot
Yeah,
of the type
right?
of person you are.
Yep. Totally.
It's crazy.
Yep. I do it every day. I'm 7 days a
Yeah.
week, but I'm early in the morning, so a lot of times not enough wind. Unless
So
it
you
was
just
just
go
totally howling, right? So
surf foil.
yeah, so I just kind of surf foil. If maybe there's a chance there might be a little bit of wind swell, then I'm out. Yeah.
Nice.
So I try to do it every day.
Yeah, so I've been doing it. I actually been documenting the last month or so, getting ready to do M2O.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
You are. Oh yeah.
we're doing M2O this year. It was kind of like spur of the moment. I actually did a run on an outer island. It's actually like the
Maui to Molokai one.
Maui to Molokai run,
Yeah.
like that channel.
Yeah.
Did that channel, and it was the best run of my life.
Oh
And
wow.
before that, I was foiling a lot, but then the waves were super good, like in that January, February time, so I wasn't foiling. And then I was on Molokai in like January or whatever, or no, March, sorry. And my friend was like, bro, the channel's roaring. We gotta go get that. And I was all scared. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that to myself right now, bro. He's like, you have to. So I did it, and it was the best run of my life. I got up quick and I nailed the whole, I think the run was like 11 miles.
Wow.
And I nailed it, didn't fall. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then he convinced me to do the M2O.
Oh, nice.
So from there, I kind of committed. I was like, okay, I just got to train every day. I made a whole plan. So I'm training for it now.
Oh, nice.
And it's been nuts.
So you've been posting all of that, like even your.
So I post a video every 2 weeks
every 2 weeks.
of my training vlog. So I've been kind of, it's weird though, because like the sport's so new.
Yeah.
There's not like there's only a few guys that have these like set ways to
Yeah.
train, but it's still at like a pioneering stage. Like guys are still figuring it out.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of using that to my advantage. I kind of just using like, you know, all the ways and the, what is it, like the philosophies that I was taught from trainers to train for surfing.
Yeah.
I kind of try and find my own ways to do that for the foiling. So just been doing like, the other thing is like, I'm not an endurance athlete.
Yeah.
Like surfing is more like
Sprinting.
high performance, like
Yeah.
a sprint.
Yeah.
And like intervals, like high intervals, like you burst for like 10, 15 seconds and then you recover, power out, and you probably sit for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like really like just high intervals. So the endurance and cardio part has been pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I wake up every day, I'm scared. I like think about the M2O, I'm like, I'm gonna die. This is crazy. This is like the Eddie all over again.
Yeah.
And I was like, the other day I even told my wife, I was sitting in the car, I was so beat up. Like I did like a Koko head run in the morning, and I've been trying to get my times down. And then I did a foil ADs to Waikiki run, and then I had to shoot something for surfing in the afternoon.
Oh.
So I got in the car and we're going out to dinner. And I was like, oh, I'm so tired. This is ridiculous. This is like the 5th week. And I turned to her, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? I was like, our daughter just starts preschool. Like I could be relaxing all day. I could have just went surf for 1 hour and just like had a great day. She was like, yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this. But no, I feel like what else would I be doing? You know what I mean? Like I'd just be vegging out on the couch. Like I'm learning so much about myself every day. And it's honestly something I wish a lot of the things I'm doing, I wish I did when I was like competing on tour.
Yeah.
Now that I'm realizing, but I'm just in a different headspace, more mature, I feel like, and my perspective on things is totally changed, which is like, I feel like it's just what life's about. Like you get older and you realize, oh, when I was younger, I should have did them like this. And then it's just like, well, this foiling journey is a really good chance for me to apply all the things to that.
Yeah. So if you could tell yourself something that you know right now and you're 12 years old, what is one thing that you would tell yourself?
I think the biggest thing for me is to just be confident in your own journey. I think it's the biggest thing. And has a lot to do with insecurity.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're young and you're a teenager, you're just looking around at everybody else. I want to be like this guy. I want to be like that guy. Or your heroes. Like even your heroes, like I realized it's really cool to have heroes because they inspire you. But it got to a point for me where like, it was like this difference to where like, I didn't know whether I even liked my own surfing or I just wanted to surf like them, you know? But then when you get into that higher level of a professional, when you got to transfer over being a kid and you got to stop copying somebody and then you got to be your own person, then I felt like I did get lost in that.
Yeah.
Where like, I don't even know what I like. You know, then I'm on this journey of like figuring out who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Where like, if you're focused on your own personal journey, your own personal growth, then that's how you figure out who you are.
Yeah.
Figure out what I like, what's best for me, what's bad for me, you know, what pushes me, and it's not the same for everybody else. And a lot of times it takes a lot of discipline to figure that out.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's putting yourself in places that make you reflect, which is really hard places to be.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the reason.
So what about like, okay, so probably Slater was one of the guys when you're coming up, like, oh, okay, now you're surfing against him in the heat. How do you do that? How did you do that? How did you do
I feel like those bigger names were really cool for me because then it gave me a lot of like, I don't know, it felt like I was in the right place. Like, oh, I'm in the heat with Kelly Slater, you know what I mean? And he was like someone that, like when I was surfing against my heroes, they're so up there that like I didn't feel like I had to match them. It was just like, just do your best. It almost put me in a better mindset. So I found it was really hard when I felt like I was competing against guys like
below you,
my age, or like, you know, that I competed against that I have more confidence against. Because then it was more so like, I should smoke this guy. This guy shouldn't even be in the water with me. But then it changed my perspective because now put more expectation on myself. Now I'm harder on myself. I'm not like focused on like what I'm okay with doing and like bringing the best out of me. I'm more focused on like them. Like,
oh wow,
they better not, like they should. I'm more focused on like what they're doing somehow, which is weird. Where like competing against the bigger guys, I was like, it's almost like a thing where like I'm okay with them beating me because they're like the greatest ever. No pressure, right? No pressure. Yeah. But I felt like it was harder for me to compete against the guys that were like younger my age, or like we came up in the amateurs together, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I think that was all just mindset thing. Yeah. It just
totally is, right?
Got to put the blinders on and just like, a lot of it was dealing with like, once I got on tour, it was just this weird insecurity. Just like not being totally confident in like, not just my surfing, but just what I'm doing. Yeah. Like my program, my surfboards, like, am I on the right stuff? Like weird stuff where like, if we're having a practice session, everyone's like, oh, so-and-so like was going crazy today. Like he had a crazy session. Like he's riding this magic board, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm insecure. Then I'm looking at myself like, oh, am I not riding the right things? Or am I not surfing good? Like all those things like were really creeping into my head, and I felt like it really hindered a lot of good performances that I should have had. But yeah, I think it just took a lot of just growing and maturity mentally.
I think a lot of times, like in my experience, like me competing, say starting with racquetball, anytime I played someone younger, I never had a problem. I just crush them because I'm like, man, that fricker's younger.
Yeah.
I got more time on the court. I hit more balls than him. Freaking no chance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when I play a good guy, one of the guys are like, hey, you got nothing to lose, Egan. You know, just play what you can. And then I had a problem with that because someone, I don't know if it was my dad or one of my coaches said, yeah, if you think like that, one day when you're the guy on the top and the other guy's trying to take you out, you're gonna have a problem because now you got something to lose.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that problem in that sense, but I had to get over the awe of this is the best racquetball player ever, right? And it took me some time, I mean, to get over that.
Was it because like it was that wanting to be that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was actually it's kind of like that. I was just afraid of the guy in a sense, because he was the hardest hitter. He was hitting 150 miles an hour, and I was hitting like 140.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that. And then when I first played him, I just got crushed. I played the worst, right?
Wow.
Then I got to play him again, and then I started realizing like, okay, this guy's not as good as I am. And I think coming from Hawaii, it's like everyone's trying to be humble and trying to be like, so it wasn't like I was that cockiness, like, fuck, I can beat him, like, you know? And then all the guys at home, I'm like, hey, fuck, you can beat Marty Hogan, frick, he's nothing. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't even beat Marty Hogan, like, come on, nobody can beat him, right? How you? And then I started working, so I started really focusing, like, okay, what is it that I'm afraid of? And it was because he hit the ball that hard. And I was like, but I can get there. I can track down every ball he hits. And then all of a sudden, I changed my training program to just like a little more strength stuff.
Okay.
And then I could start then I was starting to hit the balls in the 180s, which is harder than anyone. And then I played him again. And then I'm like, hey, this guy can barely get, like, he's having a hard time adjusting to my ball now. So now the whole tide has changed, right? And so I think that's where I overcame that, which helped a lot because then Jiu-Jitsu, you know, I get busted up by Renzo Gracie when I'm a blue belt. And then 2 years later, I'm in Abu Dhabi competing against the guy. And I'm going, I knew the same feeling like, oh, frick, this guy's going to just murder me. There's no way in 2 years I can match a 12-year black belt. But I knew my game and I knew his game. And I knew what I could beat him with. And that's how I beat him.
Yeah.
Right. And like, those are the things. And I had this guy, Laborio, same thing. I did the same thing. And, you know, then I went to MMA, and as I was beating the better guys, it was the same thing. And everyone's like, you're not afraid? This guy's freaking undefeated, or this guy's 16-0 and you're 8-8.
Yeah.
You know, how are you gonna beat this guy? But that's the thing, right? And I think
that's where like
right?
you were so confident in what you could do.
Yeah.
So you knew like now your focus has shifted. Now I'm not focusing on what he can do.
Yeah.
Now I'm focused like if I can do this really good, that's my best chance.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Exactly.
And a lot of times for me, I think surfing wise, like I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
With it, like not being enough. Like my thought always was like, what if my best still isn't enough?
Oh.
Like that's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
I need to figure out how to win.
Yeah.
And then I think that kind of just blocked a lot to where like operating out of fear instead of like loving what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Loving my personal journey. You know? You're just like, oh, I need to figure out like what if it's still not enough? There needs to be another way, you know?
Yeah.
So I think learning that side was really tough for me. And just like in training, like I wonder like how this was like even for MMA and stuff, like you gotta be like super scared.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go fight like hand-to-hand combat, you're gonna fight somebody. So like at some point the fear has to be driving like some sort of like drive to train hard and like do everything you're doing, wake up every morning like I feel sore right now, I don't want to train, but I better train or else I can get my ass whooped. But like is there this balance where like that fear, like when you're doing it out of fear, kind of blocks your like performance? In some way?
I think there's a certain point, right? It's good to have that little fear because that's definitely a drive, right? But then when you go into the event, the fear has to be gone.
Mhm.
You have to trust that you did what it took, right?
Mm.
And then my thing that I used to always think, like, what's the worst that can happen? I get knocked out.
Yeah.
That doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
And that was my back door. And
Mhm.
like, hey, if I get knocked out, I get knocked out. What can I do?
Yeah.
But I knew that if I did what I was supposed to do,
Yeah.
I was gonna win. And every single loss that I had, I went off my game plan. I did something I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Something about it. I got a little nervous. I got a little twitchy.
Tried to change.
Exactly, right? And I know it's surfing, guarantee.
And so much.
Guarantee.
And the hard part is like, this is what I'm talking about. Like the conditions change.
Yeah.
So now I feel like, oh, I should change my plan because like maybe the plan not going to work.
Yeah.
But then sure enough, like 9 times out of 10, if I had just stuck to it, it probably would have worked out.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, just operating out of that fearfulness in the moment
Yeah.
is what kind of stopped it.
Yeah.
That's where you feel like, to me, I didn't understand what true confidence was. I'm thinking confidence is like you said, like everyone from Hawaii is like, you should be humble and like you do it, blah, blah, blah. And when you're young, you're thinking confidence is like, I gotta walk around like freaking Conor McGregor all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm ready for anything at all times.
Yeah.
But then as I get older, I realize like this true confidence is having this like essence or this feeling within yourself that's like, no matter what happens, I know what I'm capable of.
Yep.
And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And that's good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another thing. If I had that understanding earlier and someone, I mean, I'm young, so I don't know if someone could
You
even
still
have
can.
taught me that.
Yeah.
But if like for me, when I coach, like I've been helping out some younger groms, like surfing wise, and they're trying to make the tour and stuff. That's what I try and preach, like that confidence side. Like we're going to do stuff every day, and I don't want you to feel like failing is bad. Failing is not bad ever, honestly, because then you learn something.
Yep.
And if you can fail and be happy, that means you have the confidence in going, okay, I am okay with myself, and I know that I'm just going to keep working, and I'm going to get there one day.
Yeah.
And that whole understanding for surfing, I feel like is key, because you are losing a lot.
Yeah, right.
There's no undefeated surfer ever.
Yeah.
There's undefeated fighters and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But surfing, zero. Kelly Slater can paddle out and just lose to a nobody.
Yeah.
Like it's a crazy sport. So I feel like that's key.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I talk a lot about stacking wins. So like making small wins and stacking, or like I always talk about having this huge goal and have all tiny goals that take you there.
Yeah.
But I also have on the other side that you gotta fail all the time too.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid of that fail. Like, I mean, my example today is I paddled out to Kiko's. I paddled almost the whole freaking way down. That's a fail, man.
Yeah.
I paddled the whole way.
Yeah.
And then when I got to the inside, I'm like going, oh frick, man, I had some pretty good sized bombs coming through. And I'm going, oh, now I'm gonna get pounded on one of these bombs, right?
Yeah.
I made it all the way and I was good. I caught a small one and I made it. But
Yeah.
you know, the failure of like, frick, I just wasted like 45 minutes, but it's not really a waste because that failure I'm okay with. I'm good. And before I said like, I don't want to do Kiko's because I'm gonna have to paddle.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't mind. It's like,
Yeah.
that's just how it is, right?
Mhm.
And then I know one day I'll fly that whole thing.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet. But I know
coming
it
this
will.
summer,
I know it
this
will.
summer. Yeah,
right?
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the fear of failure. I feel like definitely hinders a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I feel it hindered me for sure.
Yep.
That fear of
Yep.
failure was just like, it's crippling
Yeah. Totally.
to the point where like you take that out and you realize how free you are.
Yeah.
And then you're doing things in situations that people can't understand.
Yeah.
Like when you see people perform in an event like under pressure, and you can tell they're just like, they look like they're playing.
Yeah.
That's when you know like, oh, this guy is in a crazy headspace where
Yep.
he doesn't care if he
Yep.
wins or loses. And that's where you get these crazy performances and guys look like they're superheroes out there.
Yeah. Right.
Because like they're playing. They're going back to when they're kids and they're doing it because they love it.
Yep.
But just in a crazy scenario.
Yeah.
To where like everything could be on the line for them. Like whatever is going on, like it's a Super Bowl or like super fight, and they're out there just like playing with it.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the most attractive thing. When I see stuff like that, I'm like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Because then I understand where he's at in his head.
Yep.
And to be there right in that moment is awesome.
Yeah. And you know, they're talking about that is like Conor McGregor, when you watch him in the ring,
Yeah.
that guy is like crazy. He's enjoying it,
Yeah.
right? And then you got the Diaz brothers.
Yeah.
They're bloody as heck, but they love
They
it.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they know, I mean, you see it.
Yeah.
They don't care, like their hands getting raised. At that.
Yeah.
They just like, this is my moment.
Exactly.
This 25 minutes, me and you in here is my
Yeah.
favorite time.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that is scary.
Yeah. And that's
Like-
where like I'm like, well, I always knew I wasn't a fighter because I never enjoyed fighting.
Mhm.
My brother, he loves fighting. I don't. So like when I see guys like that, I'm like, oh, I don't think I better get out already. This ain't fun.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I got like even BJ, that guy loves fighting.
loves
I mean,
fighting,
a lot of these
yeah.
guys, even Max,
Mhm.
like there's nothing in him. He's like, yeah, this is a game.
This is fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing in here.
Yeah. And for me, while I was fighting, it was a game, but there was plenty of fear that went along with it, and there's a lot of overcoming that fear.
And more for you is more so just overcoming the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then as I had kids, and I'm going, frack, whatever, get crippled and whatever,
Yeah,
And I started thinking that kind of stuff, and that makes it even harder.
Mhm.
And now you have a kid. Like, does that change like your mindset when you surf, or?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely changed a lot. I mean, for me, it's funny. It's actually funny. For me, having my daughter, it just changed the reason why I do a lot of things. And I'm deciding right now I'm not going to do the tour just because it just takes me away from home too much. And I don't want that. But I'm actually looking into doing more big wave stuff. I'm actually thinking about doing more big wave stuff. But
Like Hawaiian kind?
no, paddle.
Paddling? Oh, nice.
Like just surfing different waves that I never surfed before, like
Yeah.
Mavericks, and going back to Jaws, because I haven't been back to Jaws since before. And then hopefully, if that leads into doing like big wave events, like more like the Eddie, then I kind of be into that. But that's more so just, I mean, it was actually my wife's idea. She's like supporting it.
Oh, wow.
But I feel like it's more like, since I'm doing it with her here, it's more so just like I'm gonna really dedicate myself to like training for it. And like, since I'm home and I have this time a lot at home, I can just train all day and just prepare for it and be super prepared on those days.
Yeah.
Because if you're super prepared, it's really like, I mean, accidents can happen, but it's a lot smaller of a margin.
Yep.
And I feel like this foil journey is kind of helping me learn a lot about myself and what I need to train, and then that's how I'm going to transfer into like trying to do more big wave stuff.
Oh, cool. So what's next for Zeke is Molokai to Honolulu foil boarding, a lot of stand-up paddle foil boarding, and then probably big waves.
Yeah, I'm going to try and transfer a lot into big waves and trying to chase bigger swells, hopefully around the world. I mean, it's going to be a little hard just because scheduling and stuff with my daughter, but if I see big swells, I definitely want to go. Like Mavericks is definitely on my list to go surf, and Jaws, and then obviously the bigger swells on the North Shore. But yeah, kind of transferring into like more free surfing and big wave stuff, and kind of what's next for me is kind of preaching a lot of like the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just like, hopefully inspiring and motivating other people to just get out there, get out of your comfort zone, and just be active. And just the whole point is that it's not going to feel good most of the time, but you feel really good after.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. And I feel like that's the kind of lifestyle I want to lead for my daughter.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's driving a lot of what I do every day.
Ah, perfect. I mean, like cold plunge, I saw you used to do the cooler, right? Put ice in it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's horrible getting in, but you know how good it feels when you get out.
After.
And I always tell people that, but it's so hard. Like people are so fearful of that. And they think that pain is so bad that it ain't worth how good you feel after. And I'm like, man, I don't get it. Like I don't get that.
It to me, I always looked at it, I was like, dude, at the longest, it's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes of your life. Like, think about what I can do in 3 minutes. I can barely cook breakfast in 3 minutes.
Right?
Like 3 minutes is so quick.
Yeah.
But when you're in there,
It's
it
forever.
feels like I was in there all day long.
Yeah.
That concept trips me out to the point
Yeah.
where like it's attractive to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how can like it alters time in a way where like I can restructure my whole day based on that. Cause like 3 minutes of my time, like I'll revolve my whole day around like if I gotta get in the ice bath, oh, I better knock that thing out first thing in the morning because
Yeah.
I'll be stressing about
Yeah.
that the whole day. But then you get out and you feel incredible.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. And just doing those things for yourself and just
Yeah.
showing up for yourself, no matter how hard it is. And like for me, I hate running Koko. And I was like, I should have been doing this when I was on tour, competing at a high level. And the fact that I'm doing this just to like complete this race is hilarious to me. But I go through all these thoughts in my head. Like I'll be going to sleep the night before, waking up, like in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and just go, I'm not gonna do it. And I even wake up and I go, I'm not gonna do it. And I just like force myself to just like get to like these little, like how you're saying,
Yeah,
the
the
little goals.
ones, yeah.
So just get in the car.
Yeah.
Just go. I was like, if you're at the bottom of the hill and you look up and you don't want to do it, you can go home.
Yeah.
But then every step I take further is just like, I might as well just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at the end, I'm feeling like, wow, super happy I get it. But it's so funny, this mental battle
Yeah.
I'm having with just like showing up for myself.
Yep. Man, that's so good because I think a lot of people like they look at you and like, you don't have the same problem with me because I'm just a regular person. And like I get guys in our gym, like I'm watching them do like 20-pound like dumbbells.
Uh-huh.
They're older people, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't go higher. I'm just seeing them rep it out like crazy. And I'm going, you can go 5 pounds more.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
It's
They're
just-
so, what if the dumbbell falls on my face? I go, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
Right? And then they do it and I bump them up. So like just the other day, I bumped this lady up 10 pounds
Mhm.
on each dumbbell, which is huge for a lady. But
Yeah.
I don't know how long I haven't noticed that she, hasn't been doing it.
Yeah.
She'd been doing the same way and over and over and over, but it was because she was scared the dumbbell
Scared
might
of the
fall on
weight.
her face.
Yeah.
Right? And that, like you said, fear can cripple. Like you can cripple,
You
yeah.
just end up doing nothing. You sit there all day on your couch because you're scared to do anything. Oh, that's going to be too hard. I should probably just stay here. Or this is going to be too hard. I probably should stay here.
It's
So
funny
it's
is your
crazy.
dad would die laughing at this. He probably thinks my mom, because your dad and my mom and your dad know each other. He used to work for my mom, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, my mom was a principal, and I think
Dole.
Dole, right? And I think they all think she was fearless,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, to get her to come in my gym to work out, like took her days and days and days. And then to get her in the cold plunge, she's like, "You sure I'm not gonna die? You sure?" I'm like, "Mom, I wouldn't put you in there if you were gonna die."
Yeah.
But like she goes 3 minutes, like every day. She doesn't
3
miss it.
minutes now?
Yeah,
Wow.
3 minutes. And I think it's like I told her, "Don't worry, Mom. We'll start at 60 and then we'll lower it and lower and lower it." But I started at 50, and because it's got to be between 50 and 60 for benefit.
For the benefits.
Yeah. So she got in, like, because you cannot see where the temperature thing
It's on inside. Yeah.
Well, I got it hidden in the back.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
outside thing that goes in,
Yeah.
right? So she has no idea she's going in at 48 now.
Yeah. But she doesn't know. Then it's like it's all mental.
Exactly.
At that point, from like 50 to 30, it's all the same.
Yeah.
It all feels super
Yep.
painful when
Yep.
you get in.
And I know if I showed her, like, look, Mom, you're at 48, I guarantee you she won't be able to do it again.
Yeah,
Ever again.
freaked
She won't
out.
be in there.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been super interested in that. And I feel like a lot of times like people are so focused, or I was like this too, like focus on the end result.
Yeah.
Like only focus on that, like how it looks or like how it's performed at the end. And then they skip this whole journey and they end up hating the whole thing
Yeah.
because they're not focused on like what's happening through the
way.
whole on the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like the whole point of doing everything.
Yeah. Totally.
So I feel like, yeah, this foil journey is definitely forcing me to do this. And I feel like documenting it is also helping me. That's why I want to document it, because it's
Yeah.
making me focus. Like if I got to talk about it, then I really have to internally process what's happening
Yeah. Yeah.
as it's going on.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking every time I can do everything. Like I'd rather have a 4-hour shocker in the water than go show up at Koko Head. The Koko Head hike trips me out, but then I show up and I see like older people,
Yeah.
older couples. I see them there every day.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, these people are beasts. Like they do them twice and I do them once and I'm like, I'm done. I conquered my whole day.
Yeah.
And they go up and down twice and I was tripping out. And it's like, if I wasn't like so in tune with like the journey and the process, like I probably wouldn't have noticed all these things that
Yeah.
are like actually inspiring me.
Yeah.
Like the people doing it, and like I get super stoked when I see the same people. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I'm showing up every day too, like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
the same process, even though they have no idea.
Yeah.
They have no idea who I am or I know them. It's super funny, but it's just been super fun. And I feel like when you're younger too, you're just too insecure. Or I was at least like
yeah.
to kind of take in all of that. Everything was like so ego and like, I think ego comes from a very comfortable place.
Yeah.
You show up every day and you're
Yep.
comfortable and you're doing your thing and you're like at the top of the food chain there.
Yeah.
And doing new stuff and being absolutely horrible at it,
Yeah.
it just is really good for your mental. Like, even when I actually was like doing stuff with you guys, like the MMA and like the JIT stuff was really good. And it was through my whole career, it was always like, I'd do stuff like that and it'd be really good and then I would stop.
Yeah.
And then I'll do it again and it was always inconsistent.
Yeah.
But I felt like, whenever I was doing stuff like that, I even started boxing a little bit again a few years ago. And like always at the beginning stage when I was like the worst at it, I was like the happiest somehow. Because I was so appreciative of everything. My whole perspective of stuff was just so different. So I feel like that's super important.
That's funny. I always like, so got all the guys with the foil drives right now. Like, they have no idea, right? But every time they're gonna catch a wave, I'm on my stat paddleboard and I catch the wave and I beat him. I got
you.
Missed it and I got it. And I keep doing that over and over and I have such a good time with it. It's crazy.
And it's just because you're just so like
I got my own game going on in my head, right?
In your head. But I feel like that's good because you're just like so engaged with what's happening. And a lot of times too, when I was training a lot before, like there's always like someone's program and I just show up and follow it like a zombie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like get it done, just get it done.
Yeah.
And I just missed the whole point. It's just like, when you're loving it, like that one quote Mike Tyson has, like discipline is doing something that you hate, but doing it like you love it.
Yeah.
Is so crazy because like you hate showing up, but then if you really try and like master that thing that you're hating, then you end up loving it because you're so into it.
Yeah.
So it's like a super good quote. I always think of that when I'm like trying to do something that I hate, try and figure out how to do it really well.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Too funny. Well, let me see. Let me check out my notes real quick. Oh, I know what I was going to. So one of my wife's claim to fame was when you used to come into Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
She goes, oh yeah, I had Zeke. And then one day we
saw. It was probably busting me up in there.
Yeah. Well, she got the better of you in Jiu-Jitsu, right? But yours like short, like that tall to her. And then we saw you at Quicksilver and she's like, I go, look, there's Zeke. And she's like, what? He's so big. I said, yeah, you go ask him to wrestle now. She goes, oh no.
Shoot, I haven't done jits in so long. She would probably still wrap me up.
I don't think so, but what a funny story. I mean, it's great that, you can laugh about it because I know some guys, like, they try to forget the whole thing.
Yeah.
You totally remember that.
Honestly, it was so good.
Yeah.
And like, I remember too, I was training with Sheldon too a lot.
Yeah.
And I would just get bust up over there. But like, I'm getting bust up in the gym, but I'm walking out like feeling super confident somehow. Because like, I can handle that. Like, I can handle myself outside. It's like so good and you're learning so much. And it was crazy. But I would say, did a couple of sparring sessions when I was that age, like the MMA sparring. I do not like getting hit.
Yeah, that's not good.
Getting hit in the head is a whole different ball game. I was like, I'm not gonna show up. That was like so funny. I was like, now I understand when guys say like, you don't play boxing or whatever. Like, this is not a game.
Yeah.
This is real life.
Yeah.
And you're either a fighter or you're not a fighter.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was gonna mention is like, I remember when you in class, I remember you would pay attention when all other kids were fussing around. And then what I also noticed was like, when you would roll with my wife, she's like way bigger than you, right? You never quit. Like you're struggling, like a lot of kids are, she got me already, and you're like moving and moving and moving. I'm like, wow, this is that. I mean, in my head, I was like, I gotta train this guy. This guy's gonna be a champ. Right?
Yeah, that's funny. That's all my dad at that point. I don't even know.
Well, he was there.
He would just, he's always there watching. So you can get mad at me if I just give up.
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely having that support from my dad definitely drove me, and I realized how fortunate I was to have, him by my side the whole time, and, really pushing me and wanting the best for me and putting me in all these things. Now I look back at it all the things I was doing in those afternoons, like I'd go here and there and here. I was like, oh, you're crazy. After work,
you do
taking
that,
me
right?
soccer practice, then
Yeah.
we go jiu-jitsu, then we like
Yeah.
getting home and we getting dinner, eating dinner at like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then getting up, take me to school, and then we do the same thing every day.
Unreal, yeah.
Pretty nuts.
Well, I better let you go. Enjoy your steak at Empire
Yeah.
Steakhouse. It might be cold
on.
now, but
No worries.
take it if you want. But
Okay.
hey, thanks
Thank
for
you. Yeah,
coming up
thanks for
last
having me.
minute too,
Yeah,
man.
appreciate it.
All right, good
Stoked.
seeing you again. We got to
See you, yeah.
I'll keep working
Go
on it.
downwind. Guarantee this summer we got you. in there.
Exactly. Okay, we'll do it.